All right, now in video 6, we're going to dedicate to IMAP and Gmail. And in the past videos, I've talked about IMAP and OST files and things like that. But there's actually some special work that I do with IMAP that I want to make sure you folks learn from. And Gmail is becoming a big issue with Outlook. And we're going to cover this in live, I'll call it a lab exercise, because I'm going to have some errors that come up and I'm going to troubleshoot them with you because you will probably experience these as well. So we're going to get started here. If you notice here in the background, I've got my Gmail set up in the browser, which we're going to need open. So if you're troubleshooting with the client, log into their Gmail account in the browser. Do that first because you're going to need it. Then we're going to go to Outlook. Now this is not really a troubleshooting. This is more a fresh setup. But if you happen to be troubleshooting, the same things I do will apply. So we're going to click Add, and we're going to give them a new profile, okay? We're going to, just for the sake of the exercise, name it the Gmail account name. All right, then you go and put these in. Now, this is what used to be able to work back in the day. Was just doing a nice little account setup. Used to work great. Now, not so great. And I'll let you know that with a regular IMAP account that's not Gmail, this usually connects, boom, 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 green checks, you're all good. As long as you have the... as long as you're working with a company that has updated IMAP settings. Most do these days. So anyway, once I start being suspicious that there's going to be no green checks here, you can go back over to the Gmail, and you're probably going to get a little notification here saying that there's been it's been blocked. And that's, let me get back over here. Yeah, so you can see it there. It's still not going to go through. It will kick out a error like this, okay? So here you're thinking, oh, well, maybe it's the username. There's no @Gmail account there. Not necessarily. So let's go over here. And there should be a block. And it might be gone because I already deleted it. Because I'd already tried this before I'd already tried it before. But here's what it looks like. Review blocked sign-in attempt, okay? And over here, it actually gives you why it's doing it, the less secured app. So here you can secure it or not. Now, here's what it says. Google just blocked someone, which was you, from your own, and it tells you where it's coming from. And if you didn't receive an error, so here's what you have to do, is they actually have changed this since I helped. So you can continue to use it by clicking there. And this is the page I come to all the time. I'm going to put this in the notes too for you, so you have this. In fact, I'm going to take a note so I don't forget for sure in this video. But you have to turn it on, okay, to now allow Outlook to connect. So here we hit OK, and hopefully it'll start to connect here. There we go. Voila, it's done. So this one actually worked out nice, and we didn't get that the app's password error. So I'm going to look into that, and I was hoping to get it, but right now I just want you to see how it actually should work, that secured apps thing. Okay, so now we're going to keep prompting here and hit OK, and then go open Outlook, and we're going to open up that new Gmail account we have here. Now I'm going to show you folks some things about Gmail that's very interesting with Outlook once this opens up. All right, so generally with Gmail and Outlook, once you first set it up, since it is IMAP, you do need to open up this little arrow here and let all the emails come down from the server, which if someone's been in Outlook for many, many, many years, it might take a while. And if their download speed is not fast, expect it to even go longer, and it will. Okay, so what I do is, just for fun when I'm setting up, I try to go click on, all the folders. Now, if they happen to be folder people, they might have 100 folders, and all of these should come down eventually. Because I don't have any email in here, I won't be able to show that to you. But one thing here, take your mouse and go down to the bottom. Oop, I got to be in a folder here. So go down to the bottom and it says filter applied. Now this filter applied is very common with Gmail for sure. IMAP, I've seen it, but it's real common for Gmail to do this. But what you want to do is double click the filter applied, go to clear all, hit OK, then go up to view, Then go to change view, apply current view to other mail folders, which is the ones in Gmail here. You don't need to check all these, and just hit apply to subfolders and hit OK. Now, when you go to other folders now, you can actually see the items. The one flaw that I don't like about Gmail and Outlook that is really bad is that filters applied can actually hide mail from people. So if you ever do an import, like you're doing now, and you click on a folder and there's no mail there, people panic and they're like, where's my mail? Well, you know it's on the server because you can see it probably here in the, in their folder structure. But what you need to do is clear that filter and then go click on the folder, and then email will download. Okay, and that's what the big thing about Gmail I learned early on is that people, they don't have that filter lifted. And I'll tell you that filter applied thing to get all the subfolders took me and a tech in Iowa. We were doing a big migration, and we saw that filter applied, and some of the folks there had hundreds of folders, and we had to fix that before doing it because we knew that was going to be a lot of clicking, and we just couldn't use that time for that. So anyway, we did figure it out, and now I'm teaching you folks that. Another thing with the Gmail folders, now I'm going to show you here. This is Outlook 2013 with Gmail. It's not showing some folders here, but in 2010 and 2007, there are sometimes two folders in this sub folder here of Gmail. It's called Important and All Mail. Now, it looks like by default they've shut this off, or it's been shut off already by me. I'm going to go over here into the browser and show you. And I maybe did it in another video and just don't remember. We go over to the settings here, labels, important. Yeah, see, I already have this shut off. If I would have kept this on, which I might just do now anyway for both of these, I do believe that all mail is turned off by default with 2013 and 16. Important is optional. But I'm going to tell you that the important folder, like I've said before, is just it's just email that's duplicated that Gmail deems important. All mail is definitely an inbox and sent duplicated folder. I don't know why they even have it. I don't understand it. But in Outlook, you can uncheck it here, or in the browser, uncheck it here and there so it doesn't come down. But I'm going to leave this checked right here so you guys can see. I don't have to save anything there. And I'm going to close Outlook and see if that comes back, which it should. Well, I'll tell you that it was nice to see that all mail go away, because in my early days of, there it just popped up. See here? In my early days of troubleshooting just Outlook problems a few years ago, boy, I tell you that there would be years of data on these Gmail servers from people. And I used to have to go into the important folder and manually move these out to a PST folder, which, by the way, I sometimes still do because some clients, they're maxed out on their server space and it's just too much. And Outlook really has struggles, with that much data with Gmail because it's constantly synchronizing. It's an IMAP account. But once I learned to just hide this folder over here, it's really nice. But guess what? It still is on this server here. So when you're in an inbox and you're looking at someone's account over here, you can see how many gigs they have. And if they're getting close to 30 gigs, I mean, you got to almost get that off the server at some point so they can build up and get more. Because if it ever got to the 45 gig level, I mean, it's a serious download from Gmail to Outlook, and it can take a long time. And then to move it out, and it's just a lot of email management that's not really necessary. All right, now let's go over to the calendar in this Gmail profile. And up here, you're going to see this computer only. Now, this is the big problem that people have when they set up a brand new Outlook and they've got this computer only. And this is just an OST file, remember? It's not connected at all to a local PST file. And if people start filling this data up, it can go away if this was to crash or the profile got deleted or some other problem. So that's why it's a good bet to have a second PST file for the calendar to keep that there and to not rely on this computer only, because this data could be wiped away instantly and the PST is better for backing up and extracting and importing data. And the same goes for contacts. You see here it's connected to this computer only file. So if you were to make an Outlook profile without adding the Gmail IMAP, it would not have this computer only. It would have its only from the PST file. And this is only created because this profile doesn't have a local PST file, which I told you in the first video you have to have for Outlook. So this is kind of like a little shadow contacts copy, which just to let you know, when I see this with my clients, I always make that backup because it makes me nervous that if they mess this up and I don't have a backup, that it could come back on me. And I do give them the option, you know, if you want me to rework your whole system to have it in a local PST file that will be backed up, that's going to be like an hour of work. And people are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, but I have a backup now. So, and sometimes I teach them how to back up as well. Okay, so to finalize the Gmail portion here, the biggest problems people have, they'll call me and say, Lisa, my Outlook down here in the lower right won't stop synchronizing. And I'm going to tell you right now that a synchronizing problem is an overload of email, okay? And I'm going to show you the two spots. So the important folder is usually one of them. All mail is the other. The third one is sent mail. And I can tell you that people have thousands of emails in this sent folder. And if you go down below and you see that filter applied, go lift it, and then you'll see like 25,000 in the sent. So that is a huge problem because it's trying to synchronize with the Gmail server. In the fourth place is the inbox. And this is probably going to have 40, 50,000. I mean, synchronizing issues come from a lot of email. So what I usually do here in this case is, because you can't shut those off from the, you can't shut these off in the labels area, you know, over here. In the settings, you have to have your sent mail and you have to have your inbox. So over here, we can't shut them off. So what I do is tell folks, I'm going to need your computer for a while. And that means you can't use it. And what this means is I'm going to be moving out your inbox, and I have to usually go all the way down to the very bottom of when they first started using their inbox, or their Gmail account rather. And I do the same thing for sent. And I go up here and I go to account settings, data files, and I try to, before I do this actually, I try to go do a scope of how much work I have to do based upon years. So 2010 to 2015 would be a good folder, which I think I already covered this in another video, but this one's really specific for Gmail. And then you got this here, and you got the deleted, and you could just make a new one called inbox, and one for sent. And then what I do is I go into the inbox, and I go back, and I do shift and the left mouse, and grab as many as I can, right click, move, and you want to move to the right folder, okay? Now 2013 and 16 are pretty fast, and you don't have to leave the computer for too long. And on Windows 10, it especially is fast. So these aren't like ones you're going to sit and wait for an hour usually. 2010, yes. And in fact, I don't recommend you grab that many emails like you can in 13 and 16. I recommend you only grab like 3,000 at a time. But in 13 and 16, you can actually grab like, 5,000, 8,000 emails. And it goes pretty fast. I usually can quote less time with the 13 and 16 now. But what you want to do is go to the inbox and get everything out of here. And then you go to the sent mail, do the same thing there. Remove the important from the syncing. And then if they have any other massive subfolders that are overloaded with graphics or, PDF files and stuff like that, try to get them off the server. Now, this is not fixing the synchronizing issue though, okay? This is just getting mail off the Gmail server. But the thing is that these folks still want to be able to search down here. That's why you have to put the folder down below. Okay, now this is a local PST file. So at this point, once this is all cleaned up, right, and you've got, okay, let's just, for the sake of pretending here, let's say you got this down to 1 gig. And let's say it was at 30 gig, okay? So you're like, woohoo, sweet, this is all done, right? Well, wrong. The OST file that I've showed you guys many, many times now. I'll get it back over here. The OST file for Gmail tends to be like like, you know, I've said it before, like skin. It gets real big if you gain weight, and it won't come back down to normal. So what you got to go do is go look for that OST file from that Gmail account, and I'm sure it's not going to go down. I can almost guarantee you it won't. And then you go over to here, and it might actually match up, in the browser. It might match up down here, though, which is nice. But your OST file needs to be recreated then. Excuse me. So what you have to do is, once this is all backed up and you've got it secured, then you actually have to go and create a new Outlook profile and get a fresh download from the server. So you have a fresh OST file. Because if it's going to say 30 gigs from the old one, you want the new one that's like at 1 gig. So then the synchronizing will not, it won't cause Outlook to stall out and do that. And that is how I fix a Gmail. And that job is typically two hours or so for me to do all that. It might take hours for me to do, but billable is approximately 2 hours for that job. Okay, and just to close the Gmail portion, just remember, if you have to make them new profiles to get all of their calendar back up, their people, their notes. Most Gmail people don't use notes. And to back those up to a CSV file, so when you make the new profile, you can go and import those in for them. And the autocomplete might stay there. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but I've already showed you guys how to do that. Now, there is that new app's password thing. I'm going to put this in the video notes, that I'm going to make a specific small video for that, because I'm still testing it, and I hate to admit I haven't had enough experience with that yet. I've had to do it twice, I think, and that's not enough for me to make a video. So anyway, that is the end of the Gmail video, and now we're going to work on the IMAP. All right, so now for the IMAP, I'm just going to keep this Gmail profile up because it's kind of the same IMAP theories on what happens, but Gmail's a little different. So if you're dealing with the IMAP account from, let's say, HostGator, GoDaddy, Network Solutions, whoever, IMAP can break for any reason at any time. It doesn't even matter about the mailbox size or how many folders they have or how much email they're storing. It just breaks. So sometimes what I do is, depends on the call and depends on the problem they're having. One common issue is, let's just grab this folder here. When a client tries to click on this folder, it might give an error that'll pop up right here, like cannot expand this folder. That's one problem people have a lot. The other is they cannot save in their drafts. That's very common. They try to make a draft, but it won't save there. And that's a big problem for people. So I try to think when I'm troubleshooting, what are the issues that they're having within Outlook? Because what they always say is, well, it works fine on my other computer or it works fine on my phone. Well, then you know it's an Outlook issue. And I have to give the expectations again that IMAP can be a 1 to 2 hour fix, typically. Now, the other issue is sometimes emails just might be missing from a folder and they don't match the other computer that they're on. So at this point, if that's an issue, then that's an issue with the OST file probably, that it's syncing with the computer, okay? One thing I'm going to show you here for the IMAP is in the folder up here at the top, you can go to IMAP folders here. And this is standard for all IMAP accounts generally. You can run a query and it'll tell you all the folders that it's synchronizing. Now, with Gmail, we can shut it off on the browser level, but other IMAP accounts, this is kind of how you do it. And so what I try to tell the clients is, let's go through your folders and see what you don't need to synchronize. Well, they need everything, of course. So this is not always the fix for people because they want all of their folders. It's very important to them. But you can run a query here, and then you can go to the subscribed, and you can run the query again, and you can click on it and unsubscribe, and then click this box, only show subscribed folders. But if you're doing this kind of work for somebody, you probably just want to move their mail to a local PST file and get a fresh download from the server, because IMAP is just really particular for it to work. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll have 2 computers. They'll have one master that they've had for 10 years, then they'll have a new laptop. Well, the new laptop might have a different version of Outlook, or it's faster and it's just working great. It's the master that has generally all the problems, and that's where deep surgery needs to come into play. And that's generally what happens with the clients I help. There's other issues that IMAP will have. It's generally, you can just tell by just clicking around a little bit. You're going to get errors and things popping up that are weird. And you also might find that, I just thought of this, that some people, their files, I'm going to change the view here. You got to change the view to the reading pane to be on the bottom to see this. But if you look over here in the size, every email has a size. But if you ever see one with a 0B, that means it's corrupted. And sometimes people will get this error, you have a file or you have an email that's over the size of 20K or 20 meg, actually. I think it's 20 meg. Well, then you have to go and run some searches over here to find email. I just run it over here for large mail and hit OK. Then the search will go and find all of the files that are over 20 meg, and you have to get those out of the IMAP, definitely to a PST file. And that's kind of a common issue too with folks that are using not Gmail, but other IMAP providers. And then you have to go and fix the IMAP again. So it usually ends up with me taking a lot of email out of the IMAP and then saving it to a local PST file and then creating a brand new profile and getting a fresh download. And the fresh download is really the best way to fix the IMAP. But I'll tell you that you just can't go do that without taking away the problem. And that's why we have to back up and do the things that we do. Okay, so if you have two computers you're working on and neither one of them are in sync, then you pretty much have to consider it a double job, which has happened to me before too. So basically do the same thing on both, but keep one master as like the PST. And you kind of want to ask the client, like, which computer do you use the most? Which ones do you take with when you travel? What folders do you absolutely need to have on travel? I try to think like the client in this situation, because if you don't prepare them for what is going to happen, like if they're an email, let's say, hoarder, which a lot of us are, they can't have everything. They can't have it all. They cannot have 50 gigs of email with them on travel. And just to make things easier, even on Exchange, it gets really heavy. So work with the client, talk to them about their needs, make sure that the old archive mail is on a master computer, and then when they travel, you might want to teach them how to move email as well. So let's say you've got a folder down here in a PST file, and they're going to need to take some of it on travel with them. You can go up here and just create a new folder called test, and then come down here, wherever I pretend there was a mail there. Then you just go move the mail to the test, and this way it's now on the IMAP server. You're not overloading it, and you're not putting in a ton of data. That's going to make their synchronizing not work again, because I'll tell you that if you have to fix it again, it's a lot of work, and it can be very confusing. And make sure you write down your notes of everything you did and everything you backed up in your ticket. I highly recommend that, especially if you're doing a backup for someone. Okay, now in the last part of this video here, like video 6 was not going to be a big one because I just wanted to cover the two things. But I did want to add in some synchronizing programs that I don't use a lot, but I'm going to tell you what they are so you have an idea. My favorite syncing right here down in the calendar is a lot of folks want to synchronize their Outlook calendar with their Gmail calendar. And then they got their Android phone. Now I'm just going to give you a tip. Android phone users generally are Gmail users, and the ones that use Outlook, they want it all to sync. So to them, it's kind of like they want it all. Well, Gmail used to have a third-party tool that was free, that was awesome and worked insanely awesome, but they turned that off, and now you have to buy a third-party app to get that to work. So there's two programs, and I will quickly show you in a Google search what they are, so you can see them if you go to look for it. One is called G-Sync-It. I think I spelled it right. Nope. G-Sync-It, the download. It's sold by the Fieldston software company. And if you click on it here, there's a bunch of notes and stuff. But generally, I download it now. I always download the 32-bit. You run it. And this tool is $20 for one-time purchase. And I got to tell you, it does a really good job for my clients and what they want. I really like it. It's easy to set up. Remember, they warn you, back up your data. And I always do that before I do this for sure. Guaranteed. Now, while this is setting up, I'm also going to let you know that there's another program called Companion Link that I don't use so much anymore. I've been kind of getting off the third-party sync tools. This one here, G-Sync It, is good for the Gmail, but Companion Link has got a lot of configuration to it, and it sometimes breaks, and the updates are bad, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it so much anymore like I used to be. Then, of course, there's other syncing programs called, I gotta close that there. There's another syncing program called iCloud, which is, you know, an easy 2-hour job when that breaks. I've got it down to almost under an hour now for a lot of my clients, but it's still pretty heavy. Okay, so now I installed that G-Sync It. We're going to go open up that profile there for the Gmail. But iCloud is for Apple users who, not Apple users, iPhone users. They've got the iCloud on their iPhone, and then somehow they got it to download into their computer, and most of the time, my clients have iCloud, and they love how it syncs, but they don't even know how they set it up. And then, next thing you know, let me use the eval there. Next thing I know, their iCloud breaks, and I tell them, well, it's going to be like 2 hours for me to fix it. And they are like, what? And I'm like, yep, it is 2 hours for me to fix that, because I have to do all this troubleshooting, and with the iCloud, I never know what problems I'm going to have. Sometimes you can't even get the program to install. And then before I finish the G-Sync It here, I'll also finish by talking about the iTunes, which is kind of outdated, but there's still a lot of people that love iTunes. They love plugging in their phone. And if iTunes is set up correctly with their Outlook, it doesn't break too much. But what usually breaks with iTunes syncing is a Windows update or an iTunes update. And that is the main cause for updates. In fact, it's the same with iCloud. That breaks because of a Windows update, an Office update, or an iCloud update. And the Companion Link, same thing. And the G-Sync It, I haven't had that many problems with it, but they have updates as well. And they did, especially when Google put on that 2-step authentication, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so here in G-Sync It, you can go to the settings button here, and then over to Google Sync and the sync calendar. You go create a new one. Then you got to go put in the email, which of course I don't have it handy. I like copying and pasting it if I can. All right, we're going to get that and come back over here. Now it's going to, oh, come on. Oh, look, training for text. Hold on. Over here, because of the 2-step, they did have to do this update. You have to authorize it. Then it pops up a window, which I will open up over here for you guys so you can see it. And you hit next. You type in your password. And it basically says manage your calendars, and you can allow it. Okay? That's kind of it. It just does a little authorization there. All right, so that looks like it's done. So now it's authorized, and you can go over here and pick the calendar. And I just don't have one, but I'm going to pick the standard one there. Here you have a choice of which sync direction. So most of my people want both ways. Okay, and if not, it's because they don't use their phone as much, but they want it there. Now here is this computer only. Now, if a client's calling and they're having a problem and you don't have a local PST calendar, I kind of think it's okay because it's synchronizing with another source. So at this point, if you're nervous, you can go ahead and add a calendar to this PST that you have here maybe and sync with that. But that's your decision and up to the client as well. But then you hit OK. Now this version I have right now is the demo version, so it only gives you like 50 contacts, I think, unless you pay for it. But I generally have all my clients buy it. And then you go to Contact Sync, same thing. You type in the same deal, has to authorize. And you hit allow there again. And it's going to pick your all contacts from your Gmail. It'll go into your contacts over here from this one we saw. And hit OK. Okay. So now you got these two connected here. You hit OK. And up here you can hit the sync button. Okay, well I just had to edit some part of the video out because I obviously don't know Gmail in the browser very well. So, so I'm just going to show you folks what I did here on the browser to make this easier for me. Is in Contacts. Let's see, there's one I made. I was just making a practice one. Let's go over here to a new contact, and we're just going to call this Lisa Training at lisa.com, just for something. .com, okay? So we're going to create that contact here, save it, and now you can see. Yeah, I don't even know how to get out of here. Okay, so here's Lisa Training at lisa.com. Come to Outlook, and then we go sync up, and it shows up. Okay, and that was a practice one I did. But, so this tool does do a nice synchronizing job. Very few calls on it, and very few people complaining. It just works really nice. Now, if they were setting this up on the Android, I always have them do a test. Like I'll say, go add something to your Android, which syncs with Google, and then this will contact Google, or the Gmail rather. Okay, and then there's another product that I'm not going to talk about in any training, but it's the Google Apps. It's for the people who actually pay for Google Apps, which is equivalent to Office 365. Generally, what I tell those folks, I'm going to close all these windows, is this, that if you have a client that is on Google Apps and you're helping them and they're using IMAP, which is very popular. They don't know that they can install the Google Apps Sync tool. So you just go to Google Apps Sync. It's generally right here at the top, Google Apps Sync for Outlook. You go download it, and it runs like a little app. Just kind of, it'll just pop up here in a second. Or not. I'll just go force it. Here we go. Now you have to have a Google Apps account, and now it's called G Suite, which basically it's a little app that loads in Outlook, okay? And since I don't have this account, it's probably not going to let me do it. But I'll just give you a couple tips. That it's going to open up a brand new Outlook profile. You can do some importing, and you can try some other things. But if you're having a client that's having a Google Apps issue, the best thing you can do is just start a new one, okay? I'm going to test this just to see if it connects, but it won't because I'm not paying for it. Oh. Well, now, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to this window, people. I think it's allowing me to do it. Basically, what pops up when you hit that Google Apps Sync tool is it wants permission, so you can hit allow. And then, oh, yep, see, I don't have it. Free Gmail's not supported. But let's just pretend that you had a business client that was using their Gmail and IMAP, and it was like, you know, they didn't know. Then at that point, when you set up the G Suite, you log in. It says you can import data, you can start a fresh profile. I always recommend starting fresh, and then you have a new profile, and you can fix it on the back end. Usually, they have an IMAP syncing problem. That's why when you go to figure it out, they have Gmail or the Google Apps. That's how you fix it, is to use the right tool with the right program. All right, so now there's two more apps I'm going to talk about here, and the Outlook.com is the first one. Outlook.com is a nice little, what I would call a free mini exchange server. It works really well with Outlook, and it, you know, the online browser is decent, and people like it on their phones. There's a built-in app for the iPhone, and there's also an app for it, and the Android has an app too. But I'm going to log in over here to my account, and I'm going to show you the calendar, which I don't have anything on here. But let's just go to the 6th here. I'm going to put a new entry on and save it. And then, so here, this should match up with the phone real nice. And then in the Outlook as well. It does take a little minute to synchronize here, but it will. And there it is. This is my LinkedIn Lisa account, and there's the test. So if people are having problems with iCloud breaking too much, or it's just really annoying, if they have an iPhone, move them to the Outlook.com, and that should be a lot better. And while I'm in here in this calendar, I'm going to show you a trick. With these Outlook accounts, to save a calendar, you have to click here and do this old school, what I call old school is a backup this way through the ICS calendar. Okay? You want to make sure that you get the whole calendar and all the items, and then hit OK. Outlook.com is kind of finicky. If you're migrating from iCloud to this, a lot of it you have to do on the cloud. And I'm not going to get into it in this video, but let's just say if you're having a struggle with it and you're not sure what to do, give me a call. I'll be your wingman. There's a lot of troubleshooting to that one. But anyway, I like the Outlook.com. So a lot of times I move people over to iCloud from iCloud to Outlook.com because it just doesn't break as much. But it can break in 2010 a lot, just to let you know. And the other program I never used myself, but clients have been using, is called Code 2. And it actually, it synchronizes folders for you through their program. And like I said, I've never set it up, but some of my clients have had it. And I'm just putting it out there for you in case you find a use for it and want to use it for something. I have not needed it yet. All right, gang, that is the end of video 6 here. The final video is just going to be some work about contacts and calendar, tasks and reminders, and then just some the final things for the video training.